welcome to Overlanders Then and Now. I'm Tom Bingle with my travel buddy and co-host Jim King to reflect on our time in Athens, Greece back in 1977. Good day, Doc.
Good day, Binks. Or as they say in Athens, Calimera.
Ooh, Jimmy, nicely done. Jimmy, has Joanne been tutoring you? Her mom was Greek, right, Jimmy?
Yes, she was. She came to America when she was in elementary school, so she was obviously fluent in
Wow.
Greek. Joanne, though, not so much, but she did teach me how to say this morning's greeting in Greek. Calimera, good morning.
Jimmy, hats off to Joanne and her mother. That's great. Jimmy, okay, well, we'll get to Greece in a second. Jimmy,
Mhm.
but you know what? Being out on that Adriatic conjured up something about an experience in your past life
Uh-huh.
up until that time, the
Right.
Great Lakes.
Yes.
Like you, and Jimmy, I grew up near Lake Erie, but about, 2 hours west of Lakewood. But Jimmy, not many people, not many students get a summer job on an iron ore freighter
Well,
dock.
that's true, and I was lucky to get it.
Yeah,
Because
yep.
when
Mhm.
you're on a freighter, in the middle of Lake Superior, there aren't a lot of places to spend your money, except when you get to port. But I was a good Catholic boy back then, so I would often work overtime or just
Oh yeah, no
wander
way.
around the town instead of joining
Yeah.
my shipmates as they pursued other interests. But so I was able to save a lot of money for college thanks to that job. It was great.
Isn't it fascinating, Jim? I think you once told me funny about a story about the ships, one of the ships that you worked on, something involving your kids,
Yeah,
Doc. What
yeah, yeah. One year when the kids were small, we went to Cleveland to visit my family and show them where I grew up. And we
Yep.
visited the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, of course, not around back then. But as we were leaving, I glanced over at the river and docked there was one of the ships that I had sailed on, the William G. Mather.
Unbelievable. Oh
It
my
is
gosh.
now, believe it or not, a
Unbelievable.
floating museum. I just couldn't believe it. I insisted we take a tour. Uh,
Oh, Jimmy, were the kids impressed?
they were bored
I mean,
silly, but and the fact that it is now a museum only reinforced their belief that their father is incredibly old and out of it. So, so anyway,
oh, Jimmy, well, I love the way that you describe how crossing the Adriatic brought back those memories,
yeah,
the Great Lakes. And, Jimmy, a lot of people don't realize just how big the lakes are.
yeah, they're
Man.
massive. Especially people on the East Coast. I've found, water skiing lakes, but they're not. When you're on that freighter and you're making your way either up to Duluth or back to Cleveland or whatever, there are long stretches where you couldn't see land. It was like being on an ocean, literally.
Wow, Jimmy, or the Adriatic in this our case.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in 1973, I never thought I'd find myself in the middle of Lake Huron or Ontario. In
Right.
77,
Yes.
I found it hard to believe we were crossing the Adriatic. Life's unpredictable, to say the least.
Oh, Jimmy, it is. And that's how I felt. I should have been in law school, Jim, but here I was on a ship crossing the Adriatic to
Yep.
visit Athens, the beginning of the Western Civ. I guess it may be that unpredictability, Jimmy, that makes life such an adventure. That unpredictability, makes life an adventure, Jimmy.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It was certainly an adventure back then, but talk about that a little bit more. What do you mean?
Well, Jimmy, I can remember, I was not much of a risk taker back then. And I remember,
Hmm.
ooh, okay, all set. Let's go to law school, follow in my brother's footsteps and, life will be fine. And Jimmy, then you screwed it up, Jimmy, when you invited me to go on a trip to Europe with you, Jimmy. Oh, God. But Jimmy, it was a hard
Right.
decision. But Jimmy, one that I could not, it came out of nowhere. So it was, could never have predicted it. Yet the decision, that risk, to take that risk, Jimmy, changed the course of my life. Unbelievable.
Yeah, mine too. So let's zero in on Athens, then and now, or at least what we think about Athens now when we think about Athens then.
Jimmy,
Follow
not
that?
sure I follow you, about that. But Jimmy, Athens felt like an explosion,
Mm.
after the Adriatic. Blaring horns, Jimmy. I can remember student demonstrations,
Yeah,
buses groaning, motorcycles buzzing. Jimmy, everything moving at once.
right.
And the smells, oh
Mm.
gosh, the gyros, the grilled meat, the exhaust. This is 1970s. Strong coffee, incense. It was sensory overload, but Jimmy, it was energizing. It was energizing.
Yeah, I think we were so used to postcard
Yes.
towns and villages of Europe, which were quiet, tidy, very polite. But suddenly, we're in the middle of all this chaos. And then we looked up and there was the Acropolis. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't remember this, but I'm imagining that seeing it the first time just stopped us in our tracks, even with all that noise and chaos around us.
Oh, Jimmy, it's a great moment in Athens because you're down in the city, but then you look up on this beautiful plat. Oh, there it
Yeah,
is, Jim. Time stood still. We were looking at something, Jim, we had seen in dozens of textbooks and picture books, the Parthenon,
yeah.
and there it was, Jim, live and in color, as they used to say on TV. Then Miracle and Miracles, Jimmy, you didn't throw me off the Acropolis as I read aloud from Let's Go Europe, Jimmy, about the symmetry of the Parthenon, the Doric columns and how they were made. And Jimmy, new words came in, a frieze, a metope, different
Yeah.
things. And oh, Jimmy, you actually seem to be paying attention. Were you reliving kind of your art history class with the renowned Robert Leader of Notre Dame, Jim?
Well, if I was reliving those days, I'd be napping. But seriously, I do remember feeling a bit awed at seeing in person all the things
Yeah.
that he covered in class. I especially remember the caryatids, something I probably
Ooh.
misidentified in one of the pop quizzes. But
Yeah.
what do you remember most, Binks?
Well, Jim, seeing, the characters really do jump off the page because it's instead
Yes.
of columns, it's maidens.
Mhm.
But Jimmy, seeing, on that Parthenon, the columns, the powerful columns and in person, eight across, in front, 17 deep. It was so interesting. And then, Jimmy, when I got you to crouch down and see that famous curve in the middle, that optical correction. It's
Yeah.
amazing. They design imperfection into perfection. I still can't figure that out, Jimmy, how they did that. It's
Me neither.
amazing. It's hard to believe that, Jimmy, also, we were standing where Aristotle, Plato, held their symposiums. And we spent the entire day there. I remember looking down on the theater of Dionysus and then to, the Agora, the Temple of Zeus. Doc, unbelievable, unbelievable day.
Yeah, it was. And the next day, we explored the Plaka and its
Oh, you're
very
right. Yeah.
narrow, crowded alleys and shops and
Yeah,
vendors
Jimmy.
everywhere calling out, my friend, come look, come eat.
Jimmy,
Very
it was
Greek.
such a contrast, Jimmy, because again, you got all the commotion down in the plaza, and there's this serene Acropolis above. Jimmy, but it was fun. We
True.
were in the company of two nice Canadian women, Marina and Diane, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Binks, do you remember how we met them? Any note in your
Mm.
journal? Mine just says that, we met them. That's all it says.
Jimmy, nothing in my journal, but they did fit that Canadian stereotype of niceness
Mm.
perfectly.
Mhm.
And they introduced us to your favorite Greek dish, Jim, moussaka.
God, I haven't tried it since. Something about eggplant doesn't work for me. But anyway, it was great spending the day with them. It was a lot of
Yeah, it was.
fun. So, what do you think of the Greek people looking back? Now, careful because remember my Greek connection.
Uh, well, Jimmy, I have to admit, they were, like your Greek family members, Jimmy, warm
Mhm.
and friendly, hospitable. I remember that. They loved music, loved dancing. And Jimmy, that energy, even the, the noise and the all the other stuff that's going combined, that energy still defines Athens for me.
Mm.
And Doc, even though, there was some chaos, there was joy.
Yeah,
If that,
yeah,
kind of an odd,
yeah.
juxtaposition there.
Seeming chaos, maybe, but in any event, joyous chaos for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Doc? What's the lesson you've taken from your brush with the ancient intellectuals and philosophers, Doc?
Okay. Well, I wish I could say I acted on this immediately, but I realized then, even more so now, I think, just how big a gap there was and is
Yeah,
in my knowledge of ancient Greece
yeah.
and the classics. Now, in recent years, I've tried to address this, reading up, like, for example, Emily Wilson's translations
Interesting.
of Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey,
Okay.
and I've become, and also I should mention Stephen Fry, who's written some very approachable books about Greek
Huh.
mythology. But I've really become intrigued by poetry, Greek poetry and mythology, which comes in
Neat.
handy sometimes when I'm watching Jeopardy.
Jim,
What about
Jimmy,
you?
the lesson was for me was about risk, leaving
Mm,
home again, letting go, The control, been finding opportunity in uncertainty, Jimmy. Another finding opportunity in uncertainty.
Yeah,
Boom.
I think the Greeks have a word for, well, I Googled it, so I know. Meta, metanonia, a change of
Metanoia.
mind. Okay, thank you. That's a change of mind or spirit, a journey.
Oh, yeah.
And it
Yeah.
sounds like Athens did that for you.
Oh,
Good.
Jimmy. Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy. I love that, memorial and anything. But Jim, see, Doc, you should never stop learning. That metanoia, Jimmy.
Okay, metanonia. All right, I'll remember that. Anyway, that's, the never stop learning. That's the best part of
Yeah.
traveling, I think.
Hmm.
Even when things are uncertain and unpredictable, even uncomfortable, as we would soon learn, you can always learn something important, from whatever that experience may be. You agree?
Well, amen, brother.
All right.
And speaking of unpredictable and uncomfortable, we experienced, Jim, yet another need to change the plans after Athens. But we'll save that for next time.
Okay.
So, everyone watching, thanks for joining us. And until next time,
Yamas, everyone.
Yamas, everyone.
Yamas. Yamas. I'll check with Joanne.
Yamas. All right, great, Doc. Thank you.